I'd like to call this meeting of the Pender County Board of Commissioners to order. If you all stand for the invocation led by Ms. Commissioner Newton and followed by the pledge by Ms. Fletcher Hardy.
Bow your heads, please. Thank you, Lord, for bringing us here together today in a spirit of duty and generosity. May we honor one another by keeping an open mind. May we voice our truth and listen with an open heart. May we discern your will to unite us so that we may seek and attain fruitful outcomes that will inure to the benefit of the citizens of Pender County. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would our veterans remain standing, please? Thank you.
Board members, you've had a chance to review the agenda. There's no omissions or corrections. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand.
Aye.
Public information. Public information regarding county public advertising. Ms. Blue.
I didn't in case they weren't in your thing. So, I'm Meg Blue, Pender County Finance Director, for those of you who don't know. We've received a lot of requests regarding information about public advertising. So I was asked to put together a presentation about it, briefly about what's required of us. And after consulting our legal counsel, this is what we came up with. So I will get started. So there are basically two items that you can advertise. Either they're required by state law or they're not required by state law, if you want to put them in those two buckets. The advertisements that are required by state law are things like your public hearing notices, your judicial notices, your public contracting and procurement, some election notices, and things like that. If these things are not properly advertised, they do have legal consequences and can affect the outcome of whatever decision may be made based on their proper or improper advertisement. There are things not required by law, but that we do advertise are some procurement things are not required, but we do it, A, for consistency, B, our local policy either requires or recommends it, and C, for public input or outreach, things of that nature. Why advertise when we're not required to do so? Again, the public meeting notices aren't necessarily required to be board agendas and vacancies, community events, employment recruitments, and informational ads. There's a lot of reasons to do so. Several of them, most of them are because of to the benefit of the county and or the citizens. Either it may get us increased response to an RFP, it may get the notice that we're looking for certain boards out there in front of the public so that they can apply, any number of reasons, but these are some of those things. Advertising as it is required by state law, there are a couple of general statutes that, statutes and case law that reference. Again, these are usually required by judicial proceedings. The first general statute is 1-597, and it says, whenever a notice is required by law, such publication, advertisement, or notice shall be of no force and effect until it shall be published in a newspaper. And there are 5 stipulations on that newspaper. With general circulation to actual paid subscribers, admitted to USPS periodicals class, in the county, and whichever newspaper shall be regularly and continuously issued in the county at least one day in each calendar week for at least 25 of the 26 consecutive weeks immediately preceding. In addition, the statute is not super clear about general circulation, a newspaper of general circulation, so the, court law, or the case law that goes along with that is NC Supreme Court in Great Southern Media, Inc. versus McDowell County from 1981. Again, I'm not an attorney, so I'm gonna go through this the best I can. But the newspaper must have a content that appeals to the public generally. The newspaper must have more than a de minimis number of actual paid subscribers in the relevant jurisdiction. The newspaper's paid subscriber distribution must not be entirely limited geographically to one community or section of the relevant jurisdiction. And the newspaper must be available to anyone in the jurisdiction who wishes to subscribe to it. You'll see these at they're specifically labeled legal notices for the most part, in the paper. As far as our options for legally required advertising in a newspaper of general circulation, we have two. The Wilmington Star News and the Pender Topsail Post and Voice. The news sources that do not meet this requirement, but we could use either as or as additional for the non-required by state law items, would be the website, television stations, online news like Port City Daily, social media, and newspapers not published weekly on a consecutive basis with subscribers and covering the entire county, as an example, the Topsail Times. The first one would be the Wilmington Star News. This is typically used in instances where the date or time is very specific or sensitive. Maybe we needed to get it into a certain date or a certain number of days ahead of a meeting. The Wilmington Star News publishes daily, so that makes that process easier for us and more exact in a lot of cases. It is not routinely used for budgetary and space allowance purposes. It is more expensive, and they don't have the space to dedicate to Pender County as much. The Pender Topsail Post and Voice. We advertise several things in this paper. The legal notices can be found on the legal notices section. The cost is based on the size of the ad, typically between $200 and $400. The number varies frequently and weekly, Frank, to be really honest. It just depends on what's going on at the time and in the year. And these are required by the judicial process. The government news or related notices, even if not contained within the actual government news section. The cost is usually dependent upon size, typically between $1,500 and $2,500 for the whole section. This includes the board vacancies, the notices of public hearings, the election notices, procurement advertisement, basically a mix of all of the legally and some of the not legally required information that we advertise to the public. Typically included in the paper at no cost to the county for general outreach to the public is the BOCC meeting agendas and community events and informational advertisements. For the most part, we don't pay for those, like if there's a Parks and Rec flyer or something like that. Those are included for the benefit of the public. Every now and then, DSS and Health do have a requirement to allocate funds to put out informational ads, so sometimes those are charged for their funding purposes. But for consistency and transparency, this is where the Pender County citizens are accustomed to seeing information relevant to Pender County, aside from our website or social media. This is a table of since 2016, as far as the number and the dollar amount spent in the Pender Post and the Star News. It is a lot, but I want to have a little bit of clarification, especially on 2023. But most of this is the legal notices, the ones that are transpiring from the judicial process for tax foreclosures, any of the advertising that the sheriff's office or the clerk of court is required to do, it's local attorneys and that kind of thing. And the ones that are advertised from tax foreclosure, we do recoup those funds. So they would be included here. The revenues where we recoup them are not included here. But for simplicity's sake, they are included because it's information that is published in the paper.
May I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Right off the top of your head, Ms. Blue, can you tell us and enlighten us why there's a little over a $40,000 increase between 2022 and 2023?
Yes,
Was that
ma'am.
an increase in services?
I'm glad you asked.
Oh, wow.
Um,
I knew you'd be on it.
Yeah. So a lot of this, like I said, is the legal notices. The government news information is typically pretty consistent as far as how much that costs us. The government news section has grown slightly over the years because we're advertising more procurement things. The school bond stuff required a lot of advertising. Elections is requiring more advertising and that kind of thing. But the major difference specifically in 2023 was a lot of the tax foreclosure stuff that Sherman and Rogers is taking care of for us. During COVID, they were not permitted to fully process and foreclose on tax foreclosures. So during that time, they basically could only advertise what was already in their queue from before. And so once COVID ended, well, I would say ended, but once those restrictions were lifted or whatever, they began to be able to process that backlog of cases. Plus, during COVID, they processed some of the more simple cases, and now they're left with the ones with, it's not just John and Sue Smith own one piece of land and I gotta find them. It's, John and Sue had 20 kids and 50 grandkids and I gotta find all of them. And so that it significantly adds up as you go through the case. But again, those funds are recouped when the property is either sold at auction to the highest bidder or when the taxpayer becomes current on their taxes, they're billed for those. So in those cases, the only ones the county is on the hook for are the ones that we end up with through the tax foreclosure process because no one bid on the auction, which is very few. It's more than I'd like it to be, but it's still very few. And then there's also an additional increase in the real property activity just that the county was doing that year because we were surplusing a lot of property. And I believe that is it, unless there are any questions.
Great presentation. Thank you.
Any questions, board members?
Yeah, we appreciate it.
No, thank
Good
you.
information.
Thank you.
Can we get this presentation somehow put on our website to the meeting?
Okay.
Thank you. Public comment for agenda items.
Yes, sir. Michael Taylor?
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Michael Taylor. I'm here to comment on item number 9.1, and thank you for this opportunity. I realize the time's limited, so I would quickly like to rebut the 3 points in the staff's report, why this should be turned down. Number one, the sign itself does not share any particular significant historical information. I disagree. I think anyone reading that would disagree. It's packed full of historical information, the context of the square, the building, the architect, the years of construction, the year of the founding of the county, the style of architecture, and so on and so on. Number two, the sign itself is out of character with the monuments and markers currently existing on the courthouse square, which are concrete, et cetera, et cetera. Variety is the spice of life. This marker that's proposed is the one designed by the state of North Carolina, except that the color gray is reserved for the highway official markers. Black is reserved for other markers which individuals would put. There are two matching it right at the end of the street at the depot within sight of the courthouse, same style. In addition, I think you might be seeing other signs of the same style and color popping up in town because there's a historical group, not Pender Historical Society, that is brainstorming of some other sites to fund as well. And number three, the Pender County and Town of Burgaw staff are working to create a master plan for the grounds of the courthouse. That's wonderful news. I'm very excited about that. I know the main emphasis of that has been the landscaping, particular trees, shrubs perhaps. It says that markers could be addressed, markers might be addressed. It's not a definite statement on that. I'd like to say that the donor is 85 years old. She's been wanting to make this gift for a long time now. It's been since last summer, I believe, since we started this process, or was it the summer before? I'm not sure now. And I'd like to close with her words. She says, I will be thanking you during today's meeting of the Pender County Board of Commissioners and of those who vote for our request to acknowledge the history of our distinguished courthouse. The signage proposed is consistent with the state design and other markers here and in the rest of the state. This will place our courthouse on equal standing with others in the state, but will designate its uniqueness. Thank you for this opportunity, and I would urge you to vote to approve this. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone
The
else?
only sign up, Tim.
Oh, and by the way, I have not yet been over to the museum to see the steamboat exhibit, but I can't wait to see it. And that's at the Pender County Museum here in Virgo, on Wright Street, Bridger Street.
Everyone's invited. Thank you for bringing me.
So,
So board member, we now have the consent agenda. You've had a chance to review the consent agenda.
motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Approvals and resolutions. Proposed courthouse historical marker gift.
Then we could call me up. I mean, she's gonna walk up.
Yeah, she's gonna do the presentation.
Good evening. Mr. Taylor, no relation, already pretty much covered everything that I was gonna talk about. This historical marker was proposed, as a gift last year to be paid for by Ms. Johansson and her family. It's valued at approximately $3,000 and is similar in nature to those of the Highway Historical Marker Program and, would be just like the one at the Burgaw Train Depot. So the proposed location or suggested location is on the side of the courthouse by the main entrance. And the information is in your packets and also on the slide, covers some basic information and also acknowledges the family. So staff does recommend not approving this item at this time. It is out of character with the other monuments on the courthouse square. And the courthouse grounds master plan is underway that will be coming before you during the budget this year. And so we have delayed planting some new trees and also replacing the gazebo until that plan is complete. So we are just here before you for y'all to make a decision, but county staff does recommend not approving the item at this time.
And when did you say this plan was supposed to be complete?
It's in the budget, so county staff has already met with the town of Burgaw. It is in the budget to move forward on that plan, so it probably would be sometime.
When will the plan be completed?
I do not know. It is a Parks and Rec plan. That will depend on if the item is approved in the budget.
The item for budgeting, the cost of the town and the county getting together to make a plan, or is the budget item the improvements?
I believe the budget item is for a vendor
A vendor to do what?
to design the plan for the courthouse grounds.
Oh, so we're not doing it locally?
I do not believe so. Parks and Rec could probably better answer that question.
Okay.
Wonder if you call me up. This is such a unique opportunity for the county. I made a point to go to around North Carolina, look at other courthouse squares. A lot of these courthouses I found, they have these markers And the history, I don't know where this came from about, it's not information for history, it is historical information on this sign. And this sign's really look good on the courthouse square. This family's been here a long time, and they want to donate this. It's a $3,000 sign. It really looks nice. You can go over to the depot and see how this looks. And I think it would really add to the courthouse square. So I'll make a motion to approve it.
I second.
A motion and a second, all those in favor, raise your right hand.
Now, having approved it, I don't have a problem with when we are going to set it or where we are going to set it, but it seems to me that this 85-year-old lady is waiting for an answer. We need to give her one, and we shouldn't delay it unduly until after the budget season and the contract bid process, and this time 2 years from now, we're still working on a plan, because there was a committee between the county and the town in 2016, when I first came on this board, to figure out what to plant in the courthouse square, and it's still going on today. So, that's my point.
Thank you. 9.2, order to advertise 2023 tax liens.
Good evening, Chair, Board, or good afternoon, I should say. This, as you'll remember, I came before you back in November for the 2022 advertisement of tax liens. In February of each year, it is the responsibility of the tax collector to come before you with a list of those tax liens that are a lien on real property. These should be advertised within the general circulation newspaper between March 1st and June 30th. So I am making sure that we do that this year. Per General Statute 105-369, I come before you in February with the list of unpaid taxes that are liens on real property, so it's not including any personal property items. Currently, we have $5,294,964.45 as of February 2nd, which is 6,454 parcels that remain delinquent in Pender County. This includes everything that we collect for, so it's not just county, it's county, fire, and the municipalities that we collect for. This is 12% of all the parcels within the county that remain delinquent. Just for your knowledge, we have 3,848 personal property bills that remain delinquent. That's a total of $1,170,554.82. So tonight, I'm just bringing before you the order to advertise. It's up to the board to approve the order to advertise. That way I can advertise these in the paper. Sometime between, again, March 1st and June 30th. It is not my intention to advertise these any earlier than late March, early May, simply so we can do our enforced collections remedies first.
May I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
So, of these 81 pages of delinquencies that you're wanting to advertise, are these only for delinquencies residual from 2023?
Yes.
Okay. So did we advertise our tax liens last year?
So 2022s have until the end of this month to make payment, and they will be advertised the beginning of March.
Last year, between May and June, did we advertise the 2022
No, ma'am.
tax liens?
No, ma'am. So the prior tax administrator should have come before you in February of last year. I didn't come until May. So that was what we had brought to you in November when we realized this whole process did not occur. So we are advertising the 2022s in the paper late, simply because those procedures were not done last year. So I'm making sure that those are done properly this year.
But you were here
In
last
May.
summer. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and there was some discussion about it would be better to advertise late than not at all.
Correct.
Because of course, the purpose is to give people notice.
Right.
For heirs of older folks that may have died.
Yes.
They would have gotten notice. that the taxes had not been paid.
Yes.
What allowances are we making for those 2022 tax year liens to compensate for not having filed public notice of their deficiencies in a timely manner and according to statute?
We sent the notice to them, so after you approved the order to advertise in November for the 2022 taxes, we sent out notice to them, and we gave them until the end of February to make payment on those 2022 taxes. At that point, we're going to advertise.
For
those
2022, in
for
addition
2022.
to, but you're just here before us today for the 2023
Correct.
delinquencies.
Yes, and so you'll see me every February from now on, so we make sure that we're in the proper order.
Thank you for explaining that. I just
Sure,
wanted to
yes,
make
ma'am.
clear where we were with the 2022 liens.
Sure.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you.
Thank you.
9.3, approval of budget amendment and purchase order to purchase 13 Ford Explorers in the amount of $735,800. Mr. Sheriff, Ms. Blue.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and County Commissioner. I am coming to you today to ask you to consider the purchase of vehicles, and I'd like to recognize and thank Ms. Blue and Mr. Drummond for helping us put this together. I have a very brief presentation, and then I think Ms. Blue is willing to take any financial questions that you might have. Current Henry County Sheriff's Office fleet status. We typically approve budget to replace 8 to 12 vehicles per year. Those 8 to 12 are intended to go to specific running vehicles, but they end up having to replace whichever vehicle goes down normally. Very limited availability for vehicles. It's difficult to place orders for long lead time. This perpetuates the issue of aging fleet and increased mileage. There was a 2015 leasing program, I think, that the county entered. This was prior to me being here. The lease program was 2013 and 2014 year model vehicles with intention of replacing in 3 to 5 years. And now these vehicles are on year number 11, and we still have 26 of these vehicles in our fleet, and they are 2013, 2014 year models. These 2013 and 2014 Dodge Chargers are very rapidly removing themselves from service due to mechanical failures related to age and mileage, putting us in a bind now because they are being pulled offline faster than they can be replaced. This is a vehicle fleet chart. Currently we have 37 vehicles that are over 150,000 miles. That's with an average year of 2012, 2012.7. And over here on the graph here, the total vehicles in the fleet is 137 with an average year model of 2017. The average mileage on those vehicles are 94,932. We have 26 vehicles that are those 2013, 2014 that we just spoke of. 26 of those left, and of course their age is 10 to 11 years now, and the average miles on those is 169,057. Our current year loss on these vehicles, we've lost 18 to 22 of these vehicles this past year. And most of those were those 2013, 2014s, and some of them were 2018s. And their mileage was 150,000 plus. The average annual repairs and maintenance since the year 2017 is $209,072 a year. The current solution and request that we're making is Performance Automotive in Clinton has reached out to us, and they had an order fall through. And they have 13 Ford Explorers remaining on the lot up there. Now, these vehicles will cost $43,000 apiece, and the upfit for these vehicles will be $13,600. That's a total cost per unit of $56,600. For 13 vehicles, it's gonna be $735,800. Additional information is short-term solution could be to catch up from the fund balance. The long-term solution, annual budget per vehicle replacement policy. And the current projected replacement cost would be, that was if we would order them now, by the time they would come in, the cost per vehicle would be $62,000 per unit. Of course, that's with the upfit. So you're looking at a difference of now $56,600 to being $62,000 if we ordered them now. The plus here is that they're already on the ground and there would be no wait time for them. And of course, the ordering is depending on the windows of availability and place orders and long lead times. So the need is urgent. I thank you for your continued support, and I thank you for allowing me to come and present this to you this evening.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So Sheriff, how will that, get us situated until we can come up with a fleet replacement plan?
It would be close if we could get these 13, and then if we could budget some for this upcoming year, it would get us close.
Now, the units that you said, the 13 units that you said were currently available in Clinton, are those Dodge Chargers, or are those the Ford Explorer SUVs that it's your desire that we transfer to?
They are the Ford Explorers, yes, ma'am, that we're trying to transition to. Those and pickups, just due to the county roads and the storms that we have, and the durability of them over the Dodge Charger. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's a big county and that takes, puts a lot of miles quicker on a vehicle. I'm good.
Yes, sir.
Around this county in a year's time. What's the average mile, you have an idea, the average?
It's somewhere around 35 to 40,000
Per
a
year.
year on a normal car. And we are just on the verge of having to do what they call hot seating cars, and that would be switching them out where they would run, certain ones of them would have to run 24 hours a day, and of course, they don't last long like that.
Yeah.
So that's why the need is here, and we did locate some vehicles that were already on the ground, and that's why I'm here today. I know it's a lot of money, and but there is a need.
It costs more down the road.
Yes.
Are there any other options, or have we looked at any other options with regards financing or periodic payments rather than a one-time cash payout?
I will let Ms. Blue answer that. if you
Our
don't mind.
financier expert.
Sure. We have actually, Mr. Van and a group of folks, both sheriff's office and non-sheriff's office, including fleet, did discuss leasing. It's kind of what got us in the situation a little bit. But leasing patrol vehicles is just not a good idea. And in fact, the leasing companies even explained that it's not a good idea on their end to just lease patrol vehicles either. They insisted that we include other vehicles other than just patrol vehicles, just so that they could minimize their risk too. I wanted to clarify here, this 18 to 22, that is due to mechanical failure only. And some of them were repaired because we didn't have a choice but to repair them.
Don't we have a warranty plan? They call me every day.
Not on a 2013, I don't think. But yeah, it's been a while. We're slowly chipping away at it, but I think this will help get their averages down some and get their maintenance costs down some and keep some of these vehicles on the road.
What's the warranty?
have-
60,000 miles warranty on these? The warranty,
I'm not sure what the warranty is.
these have about 60,000 miles.
Yeah. We have looked at other agencies when they replace vehicles,
Like the
possibly getting.
state, through the state.
Well, this was another local agency.
Okay.
We were gonna actually get some of their vehicles that they were replacing,
Right.
kind of as a spare fleet, and we were kinda close to that, but then when the availability started getting more difficult, they're kind of holding on to theirs now, so even that option is kind of gone.
Just wanted to know what other options we had looked at.
We're trying.
Yeah, I know. And there's absolutely no financing available for new vehicles. And all these are new units, right?
There probably is, but we would pay more in interest than, the cash flow's not exactly the issue, it's really just the amount of need that there is.
So is there cash available for this
Yes,
in general fund?
yes.
Is this, above the budgeted, what we would normally consider a budgeted item for the sheriff for last year and this year? Cause we
No.
bought some vehicles last year.
That's correct. We actually bought this year's vehicles last year for this same reason. So we had moved this year's, what we would have normally bought in this year, we pulled ahead from fund balance last year because there was no availability and there was some available at the time. So we're kind of doing the same thing. We're just moving it up as early as we can so that we aren't waiting 16 months for 13 vehicles that we need right now.
I see these will be black.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion, questions? If not, is there a motion?
Motion for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you, sir.
We thank you all for your support. Thank you.
9.4, consideration of contract and purchase order with Clariton Associates LLC.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good afternoon. What you have before you is staff's recommendation to award a contract and purchase order to Clarion Associates LLC for the new comprehensive land use plan for the county. This is an item that I'm really excited to be before you this afternoon, presenting something that we've talked about for a long time and we've been working on for a long time. So really excited to be here presenting to you this afternoon. If I may, just a little bit of background on this. Staff published a request for qualifications back in September with a deadline to submit proposals by October 31st. We actually received 6 submittals and had a selection committee whittle that down to 4 firms that we were interested in, and actually had those 4 firms or representatives from those firms come here in this room and meet with our selection committee. So we had an opportunity to get to know these firms a little bit better and properly vet them. And through that selection process, Clarion Associates really stood out. They put together an exceptional team, and they have a lot of work that's similar to what we're requesting here. Leanne King is the project manager with Clarion and is in the audience this afternoon and would be happy to answer any questions. But I just want to emphasize that our team is really excited about this project and think Clarion is the right team to move forward with this. I will note the project budget for this was $150,000, and that was spread out over 2 fiscal years, if the board may recall. So this project is estimated to take between 14 and 20 months. So the allocation was $100,000 in the current fiscal year and then $50,000 next fiscal year. Through the negotiation process, the initial submittal by Clarion had a cost of a bit over $200,000. Through the negotiation process, we were able to get that number down to $168,481. So this is a little bit over budget, but again, staff is recommending award of a contract and a purchase order.
I'm really excited to see this moving forward.
Yes, sir.
So this will encompass some of the land use map will be revised, revisited, and possibly do zoning.
Absolutely.
areas, and
Yes, sir. This is the first step in that process.
there'll be a lot of community input and community meetings and.
That's right. So this plan is, I think Leanne could probably describe it perhaps better than I, but it's organic in nature, right? So it's really bottom up. We want to get that vision from the public, and there's a substantial amount of public engagement as part of the development of this plan. So that vision that we talked about is going to be identified through that public engagement process.
So that public engagement will be spread out all over Pender County. It won't be concentrated in one area. Everybody will get a shot at their say, correct?
Yes, sir. And that was something that we've talked about is, Pender County geographically is a big county. So it's difficult to imagine someone coming from, say, Atkinson to Surf City for a meeting, and so we've talked about having several meetings and trying to meet people where they are, if you will. So rather than asking them to travel long distances, we're going to try and go to them.
Great.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
so for citizens who want issues addressed such as special zoning to address residential density issues, or citizens who want to address issues such as taking your travel trailer and putting it on a lot that you have down at the river. These public meetings are the times for these folks to come forward and address these issues.
Yes, ma'am. Certainly, staff is happy to talk with folks at any time about that, but, this is establishing policy that will then turn into regulation.
Wonderful. How long is this process expected to take?
14 to 20 months is the timeline. So, obviously, we're going to, probably Leanne and I, if we get a vote of confidence tonight, we'll probably have a meeting set up tomorrow to look at setting up a kickoff meetings with some internal stakeholders and getting this project off the ground ASAP.
Which internal stakeholders?
We haven't identified all those yet, but rest assured the folks on this board will be involved.
Is there any other questions?
Motion approved.
The motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get those stakeholders nailed down.
Yes, ma'am, will do.
9.5, approval of vehicle replacement. Glad to see you're feeling better.
Thank you very much. I apologize for that.
That's
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and fellow commissioners. My name is Jeremy Drummond. I am the Facilities and Fleet Director. And what you have before you today is a proposed vehicle replacement policy. The purpose of this policy is to establish guidelines for the timely and cost-effective replacement of the Pender County fleet. Just a few things about it. It's based upon 4 criteria: age, mileage, cost of ownership, and overall condition. Based on these criteria, vehicles are awarded points once vehicles hit specified milestones. So once they hit 0 to 30,000 miles, it's 0, 30 to 60 is 1, 60 to 90 is 2. And there's different criteria for that. Also, these points ranges vary depending on the type of vehicle and their assigned duties. So there are 4 grade point scales. There's standard use fleet, emergency response vehicles, heavy diesel, and fire apparatus. And tonight we're just seeking your approval for, and I will say that in this policy there is absolutely no fiscal, it doesn't specify that you have to spend any money. It's simply guidelines for replacement.
That was gonna be my question. How much is this gonna cost us? Because it's been going on since 2016, getting this fleet replacement nailed down. So thank you, Mr. Drummond, for bringing this to us.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's timely, but I have another question, Mr. Chair. With regards to the fire apparatus, the fire truck's owned by fire departments. That's gonna come out of their budget, right?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I'm not too familiar with the fire department. I covered everything else.
And emergency response vehicles, same things, and heavy diesel equipment. I'm assuming, Mr. Manager, that the cost associated with whatever needs to happen comes out of their respective budgets.
Right, the way we would look at public safety is like with the fire districts, they would come out of their budgets, and also when we're looking at whether or not, they should be replaced, if you approve this policy, we will apply this policy to the fire districts. For instance, I think at your last meeting at Rocky Point, and that particular, when it came before you, funded, 'cause eventually the county pays.
Right, but my concern is that has EMS and fire signed off on this
It's my
policy?
understanding that yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Because their vehicles may have different inspection and maintenance criteria than just routine standard fleet vehicles or the sheriff's fleet.
That is correct. We've spoken with multiple departments, and I credit Ms. Sarah Taylor for that. She reached out to Pender Fire, EMS, Emergency Management, She did a lot of the legwork.
So that's been done.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I have no.
I have a question, Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
sir.
I appreciate your effort on this. We've been waiting a long time. And you kinda answered what my question's gonna be, but I don't wanna put to death a car with 150,000 miles when it could run 200,000.
Sure, so that's,
Because the cars we have nowadays can go a lot further.
absolutely, I agree. And if cars, so they have to meet certain criteria, just because it hits 150,000 miles, if it still hasn't reached its maintenance budget or, you know, the age, it won't be qualified for replacement.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, is there a motion to approve the vehicle replacement policy as presented?
Motion approved.
No motions, is there a second? And a second, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Thank you very much.
Very easy, you know.
And that'll save us each individual year, when we stagger replacement of vehicles rather than having to buy all of these vehicles in one fell swoop.
That's right, we just wanna try to normalize it to where it's more consistent from year to year.
And it'll save us in maintenance costs, no
Right,
doubt,
That's correct.
as well. So, very good.
Board discussion of order of business change.
That's me.
What's your name?
Ma'am,
So,
will you go stand at the podium?
so it was briefly mentioned about moving, the order of business around so that people could actually come and sign up, and we could have closed session beforehand. I looked at the schedule that we have, and the next viable option that we would have would be April 2nd, just because there is a public hearing at the March 11th meeting, and there's only one meeting that month. So if we wanted to move closed session first, that would, the first option would be April 2nd, the BOCC meeting.
So just to bring up the memory part, I mentioned that last month, that several residents requested that we have a meeting that they can attend. They said at 4 o'clock in the afternoon for most traditionally working people is hard to get to. So I made the offer of maybe moving our closed session for at least one meeting a month. It would be almost impossible unless we want to stay to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning for the middle meeting, to move one meeting a month, possibly to where we start later. That way, have the closed session first and start the regular meeting later.
Well, some of these special hearings can run way into the night.
Right, it would be almost impossible to do the special hearing nights.
Yeah.
When we have a 7 o'clock, so
Right.
that's what, that was gonna be my point. I don't have a problem with on those, I think we have, public hearings, one of the meetings, and we have 2 a month. So as to the other meeting that we don't have, a public meeting, yeah, we could do the closed hearing, because when y'all get to leave, we don't necessarily get to leave.
Yeah, we
We've
are
got
stuck
other
here.
stuff to do, so we could do our thing at 4
Yeah.
and start the meeting at 5, if we don't have a public meeting
Yeah.
at 7.
Right.
I
That's what- that
I
was the- that
totally
was my
agree with
fault.
that.
But even, can we move it to 4:30, you think, and do a 4:30 to 5:30, and then do a 5:30 public meeting part? Is
No,
that-
I think that's pushing it,
You think?
because a lot of
Yeah.
times we have more than an hour to discuss.
I will-
And that would cause us to be having to meet again after the 7 o'clock.
No, I'm talking about for the meeting that we're discussing. If we move that meeting to 4:30,
The one that
do
doesn't
the
have the
closed
hearing.
session first. Yeah, the one that doesn't have the,
Yeah,
Let's
and I'm with you on that, but I still think 5 o'clock would be, you know, I don't know if people are traveling from Wilmington. They're still not gonna get here at 5:30, even
right.
if they left at 5.
Well, let me make a comment. When I first got on the board, a long time ago, well, 11 years ago, I mean, we tried that one time. They found out it don't really work. People said they're gonna be here, but, we found it didn't make a lot of difference. We can try it one more time, but, I think you find out that people really are gonna want to be here or interested, they're gonna make a point to be here, special meeting.
And plus, for people who were wanting to make public comment on non-agenda items, they can sign up during the meeting anyway, can't they? if we do that, then that will give them latitude to come and speak their piece. If we leave the sign up for non-agenda items that we hear at the end of the meeting, that would give them, Lord's plenty of time to get here. And I'm not saying that's in lieu of switching us going in closed session, but that's another option that would give them more of an opportunity to speak.
So what I'm hearing is everybody is okay with going to the 4 o'clock closed session for the first meeting of the month, the non-public hearing meeting.
Well, we'll try it, yeah,
Okay, what are we going to do for the public comment for non-agenda items? We got people here tonight, it's been sitting here, and they wanna go home.
They're gonna leave this, can we leave the sign up while we have our meeting, since they're signing up to speak on non-agenda items? And then just pull that sign up during the meeting? And have the sign up for the agenda items stop when we open the meeting? You see what I'm saying?
I think you're talking about if we're having a regular traditional meeting where we have it split right now, you wanna move it back to the beginning.
The whole history, they could, speak their piece and go home. Now they gotta wait through the whole.
I do not agree with that, because there has been so much disruption and so much, when we sit down to do business, to do our business, we want to hear from the citizens who are here for the same reasons that we are. And then at the end, we can sit and listen to whatever people want to talk about ad nauseum. But we made this decision, and we made it for a reason last year, and it has served us well, because it has afforded our staff and everybody else who's here for the meetings an opportunity to go home in a timely manner.
And we gotta set our time, the time when it gets to me on the special hearings and all, we gotta make sure we stick to a 3-minute time, or somebody's gonna say the same thing over and over again. We say, if you're gonna speak the same thing someone else has said, let me speak for you. We need to, gotta have guidelines.
So back to the original discussion, can we go, is everybody okay starting in April, the first meeting, to go with a 4 o'clock
We can,
closed session, and then a 5 o'clock regular meeting, and try it, and if it doesn't work,
We'll try, yeah.
So you're gonna do this one time as a trial run?
we're gonna do it for a few months as a trial run.
Well, what it says is a trial run for April.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
So
think-
you
I don't
wanna
think
do
you-
it for 6
I would
months
like
and
to do it
try?
for 6 months, or at least 6 months, or to the end of this year.
I think you'll find it's not gonna make a lot of difference.
And it may not, you may be right, and you probably are right, but
You know.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, because I've heard it over the years, and people say, I haven't come to the meeting when I invite them to, because they say I can't get there when you start. Well, come when you can, and the agenda item,
Well, I think that shows us trying to be as flexible as we can, so we
Well,
want the
we
citizens
want
to
to-
hear.
when I hear from citizens, oftentimes I say, the rest of my board needs to hear this. The rest of my board would benefit from hearing this. So I encourage people to come to the meeting, and
well, I do
it's,
too, all the time.
it just, and I know you do, and we all do, but it just doesn't, it sounds kinda hollow when we say, come to the meeting, and I'm at work at 4 o'clock. So this is trying to get some benefit for them, opportunities.
So can we make a motion to do that trial for 6 months at the first meeting of each month, the non-public hearing meeting?
Are you making a motion?
I can't.
I know, what you just said, I'll make the motion. We'll try it for 6 months with the first meeting that we don't have special hearings at 7 o'clock, that the formal meeting will start at 5, and we will go into closed sessions. We will make use of our time, but the public meeting starts at 5,
I'll say.
and that's my motion.
And they
I
have
can't
to be
make a
signed
motion,
up
but
by
can I
5.
make a friendly suggestion? The
For
July,
agenda items, they still have to
the
be.
July meeting, we won't be able to use as a test.
that would
We
have
only
a
one
public
meeting.
hearing.
Okay.
And we have public hearings?
Yes, on the July, it's the middle of the month meeting.
Well, that'll be about 6 months anyway.
I think that's a reasonable
No, it's to be the
compromise,
6 months.
Chair.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appointments.
Me again.
Volunteer Agricultural District.
So, Stephen Batson, as you know him, Tommy, has applied for the Volunteer Agricultural District Board. I know, who is that?
Is
There
Tommy
are,
farming now?
I guess so, he's gonna try his hand at it. He is our Emergency Management Director, he's also served on various boards. The Volunteer Agriculture District Board does not go by districts, so I do not believe it really matters which one of you wants to appoint it. I know usually you guys have the person whose district does make the motion, but
So
yeah.
he's the only applicant.
He's the only applicant I have right now, but I think there are a few people on it, but I have quite a few openings right now. I think it was like 4 when he applied, or 3.
Motion to approve.
So a motion to approve, is there a second?
motion.
Second.
Motion is second, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Tommy is on the
Tommy's on the
We only give him
Volunteer
some quarterback on one of these
Agricultural
forms,
District
don't we?
Board. That's 'cause he's a beaver trapper.
We're now
And the
moving
beavers.
into, water districts, water and sewer districts. Do we need to open up any districts tonight?
Well, wait, one second. Sir, I'd like to ask you a question. How are we looking on the 421 water expansion project?
So do we need to open, is that one?
Good afternoon.
Yes, please.
Which one?
So
Which one is
Morris
that?
Creek, or is that some-
Morris
that
Creek.
district will be the Morris Creek, right?
Open as the Morris Creek Water and Sewer District.
Mhm.
We're open as,
Sorry to put you on the spot, but we have folks here who are eager to hear.
Absolutely. So right now, we're a little bit on a standby. I did receive a preliminary quote, which I'm not happy with the number that I'm seeing as a total. We're looking at a total of about 20 miles of pipe coming around $37 million. So expecting a quote, that was the first thing that we needed to get CDMS to provide us with documentation of how much is it gonna cost for them to look for this funding. As I told you, we do have some monies that we can use to design and put approximately a mile of pipe. And that comes from contingency money, from money that we saved on the water treatment plant project and expansion lines. So once I get their quote, I will be bringing that to them, to you all, so that we can go ahead and assign CDMS Smith, officially assign CDMS Smith to proceed. But the number they're going with for 20 miles,
To proceed with their finding grant funding to cover this project.
to proceed with filing application, which is the grant application period starting March. Yes, to proceed, we're looking for
So
funding.
time is of the essence.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
So when can we expect to have that before us for approval?
So you should have that probably by the second meeting of April.
And when does the grant funding open? You said in March?
It opens in March, yes. I
We
think
can't
it,
get it to us any quicker than that?
how, the way the engineering firms are working right now, ma'am, I'm on top of them, by the day. And I'm requesting this information, so let's say they'll give me this information, within this week. So the deadline for submitting to you is already passed. So I'll have to wait for the next meeting, so now I'll be looking at the second meeting of April.
April, not March.
Sorry, second meeting of March.
Okay, all
Forgive
right,
me.
that
Yeah.
was what was scaring me, okay.
Yeah, it's been a long day,
So we
man.
will have it for, during a meeting in March?
Yes,
The
yes,
same month that the application
absolutely.
process begins?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know, thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Any other questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, that's great news.
All right, we're closed as the Morris Creek Water and Sewer District. Benton County Board of Health? Nope. But we do need to open as the Social Services Board.
Good evening, Chairman George, fellow commissioners. Wanted to come before you and just kind of give you a brief update of kind of some of the things that have been going on at DSS since Medicaid expansion kicked in December 1st. So, wanted to kind of give you a little bit of history about numbers of applications that we have received. And so going back to November of 22, working through November 23, December 22, December of 23, when Medicaid expansion kicked in, we processed 718 applications. January, we did 402. As you can see, that's a considerable increase over what we have been seeing. But wanted to give you some historical. Just some of the, I guess, sidebar things that we're seeing. We've had an increased call volume at the agency. We're averaging about 450 calls per day at our front desk. We've had an increase in our food and nutrition services, food stamps. Indicated here, wanted to give you a little bit of historical as well, so you can see the jump in that number. And then we've also had an increase in foot traffic. So we're seeing more folks in the agency. Wanted to give you a breakdown of kind of what we're seeing as far as the age range of folks that are applying and getting approved. Our highest number has been in the 19 to 29-year-old bracket, and it kind of falls or follows the age brackets going down. So the younger folks are being able to apply for these services now and are receiving them. So I just wanted to remind you with Medicaid expansion a little bit about who's eligible to receive and kind of the income limits that are attached to that. So they've got to live in North Carolina. They've got to be 19 to 64 years old. They've got to be a U.S. citizens. There are some non-U.S. citizens with a valid immigration status that may be eligible. And then if your household fits the income limits, so for single adults, they've got to be making less than $20,120 a year. And as you can see, it goes up based on the family size. Family of 4 is $41,400 a year. And then for each additional person, it's $591 a month or $7,000 a year. So those are kind of the breakdowns of income limits. And then I did want to just announce that historically we have been working at the annex 1-2 days a week. We've expanded that. We're at the annex beginning, or will be at the annex beginning March 1st, 5 days a week with staff there on site. So that ends my presentation, and I'm open to any questions that you may have.
It's been busy.
It's wide open every day.
I appreciate it.
Other questions or comments?
When is that new building gonna be fixed? Cause I know you need
Not
some
soon enough.
room for more people there.
Not soon enough. So, but thank y'all for your support when we were looking for additional staff to handle this, but thought it was appropriate to come and kind of give you an idea of kind of the numbers that we're seeing. And
So you're telling us you were right.
well,
You know your stuff, don't you?
I'm saying that it was something that we expected, and your support was appreciated. So,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Always.
We are now out of Social Services Board. Public comment, non-agenda items.
Yes, sir. Olive Hollings?
Thank you for the opportunity to share my concerns today. Again, I'm Olive Hollinger, and I live about 5 miles west of Burgaw on Piney Bush Road. My property is in an area that is rural and agricultural. I have several land tracts that are adjacent to one another, and if you look at them, they'd appear as if they were single tract. On December 1st, I went to get a permit to place a barn on my property and was told I could not do so as there was not a house on that tract. the house is in the tract adjacent to that particular piece of property. The option that most suited me to resolve this concern was to merge the two deeds into one, which I was willing to do. However, I was told I would be required to survey the property in order to do so. I have no need to resurvey my property, as I do not question the boundaries or the acreage, and I'm not in any type of property dispute with my neighbors or the tax office. Rules and regulations typically exist to serve and protect the individual, the community, the environment, etc. However, this rule, as applied to the area where I live, protects no one, interferes with the ability to manage and use one's property, and places a financial burden on the property owner to resolve the issue. I would ask you to review this rule to see if it serves an acceptable purpose. And if it does, could you tell me what it is? Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, those are one of the situations that I had mentioned earlier about public hearings for when we begin this land use rewrite. That certainly may be an issue that needs to be addressed as well.
And that was resolved in what, about 18 months?
It's not gonna help you though, I know, but I'm just saying. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Larry Bullock.
My name is Larry Bollick. I live at 2525 Bentley Highway, Virgo. I'm here tonight as an advocate for Ms. Hollinger and the other citizens of Pender County as having to go through this same process. Me personally, I have a farm, I've got a way around it. But you got people out here every day that's having to spend money unnecessarily to be able to use the property. I know the gentleman spoke previously, y'all are gonna be looking at it, but as Mrs. Hollinger just stated, that's gonna be 18 to 24 months. I would like for y'all to consider maybe a short term to put this, ordinance on hold until y'all can rewrite something and help the citizens, because there is numerous people that has been to y'all's planning department that has been denied. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Appreciate it.
Chair,
Thank
Mr. Bollick, you and I have talked in the past, and you're addressing situations where someone has a parcel of land out in the country, and they want to put a utility building and put a garden out there and a building to use their tools, and they can't put a utility building out there to maintain, keep their equipment to maintain the property because there's not a house on there.
Yes, ma'am. And there's other cases also, if gentleman takes and buys 5 acres, 6 acres, want to cut some paths through there to let the children, grandchildren ride the 4-wheeler, carry a tractor out there to bush hog it, put a building out there to put the chainsaw in to maintain the property. You can't do that. And that's the reason I'm here tonight, in support of Ms. Hollinger and the other citizens of the county. I appreciate y'all's time.
Mr. Bollick,
Thank you, sir.
Pender County can do better. I promise you, we can do better.
Thank you, sir.
And I think we need to soon.
Thank you,
Well, I
Mr. Bollick.
appreciate y'all's
Appreciate your
time
time.
and
Thank
taking
you.
time
I
to listen
appreciate
to
you
me.
coming, and this is one of those situations where I said, Mr. Bollick, my whole board needs to be hearing this.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it.
So I thank you for coming.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Those are all
Appreciate
the time,
it.
Mr. Chairman.
Items from the county attorney.
Yes, sir. A few items for, closed session. Item 3, attorney-client privilege, including, Coastal, Pine Solar versus Pender County. And item 6, personnel.
Thank you, sir. County manager?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. There's just a couple of items. On Thursday, there is an event at the Wilmington Convention Center where Pender Commerce Park is a finalist for an Excellence Award. So we're hoping that we can nail that one down.
When is that?
Thursday,
At what time?
11 o'clock, 11 to 1 over at the Wilmington Convention Center. Then this Saturday, the 24th, is the 248th anniversary of the Battle of Moores Creek Bridge. Just a reminder of that, and then,
That's when they have the reenactments, right?
that is correct. I think that's gonna be at
I've got it
2
on my
o'clock.
calendar. That's
Yeah.
exciting. That's a
Yeah, it
great
is. I
time.
remember you-
They camp and do all that stuff.
Yep.
Fire cannons.
And then also Monday, this coming Monday, at 7 o'clock, we're having a public meeting regarding the Carolina Water Company at Topsail Middle School cafeteria in Hampstead.
Thank you for setting that up, Mr. Buffkin.
What's that date?
Monday, this coming Monday, the 26th at 7
All right.
PM.
And as that's an issue that pertains to the public utilities that you had to work through to get this hearing, right, out of Raleigh? I've had a situation recurring with my AT&T landline, and this is just for the benefit of the citizens who have other utilities issues. Over the last 3 years, I have had weeks-long service interruptions. Finally, in January, after the 15th day of no service, I called the Utilities Commission. They got right on it. I got calls from the Office of the President till the issue was resolved and the equipment was updated. Now, I got a letter today saying that that issue had been resolved from the Utilities Commission, but lo and behold, my phone's out again today, so I had to call them back. But they responded, and they responded to AT&T, so the little guy can do something.
Mr. Assistant County Manager?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair and fellow commissioners. Chris Ward with Focus Broadband contacted me and shared some highlights that he wanted me to share with the board and with the public related to the status of the broadband project in the county. He said service is currently available to over 2,500 addresses in Kaintuck, Caswell, Holly Shelter, and Grady areas. All phases of Kaintuck and Caswell are now complete. Work on all Grady phases should be complete by this March. Construction is currently underway in multiple phases as they pertain to Burgall and Wallace regions. One part of the Wallace phase includes the 421 corridor in the western part of the county near the Sampson County line that we've had a lot of discussion about. He said construction is complete in this phase, but it can't be activated until 2 other phases of Wallace have been completed, and this is anticipated to take place in late March. On a separate note, Focus Broadband had concerns of cost escalation for the Pender County project since its inception in 2020. As a result, they've worked with USDA to apply and secure grant funding for an additional $5 million. This funding will allow the project to stay on course to completion.
That's awarded or just applied for?
He said it was awarded, applied and awarded.
That's a fantastic.
So that's fantastic. They've been great to work
They are
with. They are really phenomenal. And finally, he said that he will come before the board in the May 6th Commissioners meeting to provide a more comprehensive update.
He didn't happen to mention when they would be doing the line work down 421 with that other piece of Sampson County, did he?
No, ma'am, I did not get that. I apologize.
Well, I called Focus Broadband. I've got the lines. I'm telling you, they went down Shallow Road in about 3 days, and you could not even tell where they had been. They put straw down, and then the box is right there. It's just like sprouting mushrooms. It's the neatest thing I've ever seen.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Grooves?
What I've been dealing with this week is drainage in Rocky Point. It never stops. Even when it doesn't rain, I get complaints. So hopefully the DOT will do some work. They don't go on the private property. That's the problem. And back to the master plan for the courthouse. We have been talking about this thing since I've been on the board. I hope that we're not planning to hire some outsider and pay them thousands of dollars to do this master plan, when we've got people right here that can do it. So it needs to be done. And the lady that wanted to build her building, what do we have to do here tonight to help this lady? I probably have 5 that I can think of that has this problem. What can we do tonight to move this forward?
We can bring you the ordinance that you have and give us some direction if you want to start the process to possibly amend the ordinance, but I suggest you look at what you got holistically first.
That would be my suggestion, and that way the public can have, I mean, I don't like to do anything without public announcement.
No,
of the
yeah,
public.
and I also think that it falls under the purview of what a citizen can do with the land that they own and they pay taxes on. What buildings they can put on it without a house on it, and what travel trailers or recreational vehicles they can have on it and use on it, because ultimately they're paying taxes on all of it, and they ought to be able to get the full use, benefit, and pleasure from what they're paying taxes on, and not have to go out of county to use what they're paying us to own.
Amen.
Well, I think we'll bring you the way it's written, and then you can look at it. And
I'd rather do that, I mean, I'd rather for the
Yeah.
whole public to have a chance to weigh in.
I'd hate for you to have some unintended consequences, is what I'm
Right,
getting
and
at.
Have y'all review it, public
Right.
notice, so that they can come and speak to it, but it's been, you know, it's, there's enough of it that I don't think, and I agree with Mr. Bullitt, and the other lady that spoke, I don't think that we can wait another 18 months, 2 years, because this is clearly a deficit. This is clearly a problem for our citizens, and we serve our citizens, right?
We'll get you something on your first March meeting, how's that?
Good.
That'll ought to do it. Yeah.
Ms. Newton, Commissioner Newton?
Well, not to beat a dead horse, but if a commissioner is honored, then Pender County is honored, and if Pender County is honored, then we're all honored. But I just got a nice thank you letter from, David Rouser's office, in Congress of the United States, thanking, our interest and my activities on behalf of the water resilience and annual water adaptation. And in part, what I want to share with Pender County is, as we go forward in the implementation of North Carolina's flood resiliency blueprint, which is now with DEQ, subsequent water summits will be even more instrumental in helping us preserve our natural resources and keeping our constituents and their property safe. We look forward to working with you in the future to secure success on this important issue for North Carolina and across the country. And not to be petty, but if anyone thinks that that award wasn't given to me, I need them to come see me, because you know what I'm talking about. So thank you, that's all I have.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Ms. Fletcher, huh? Mr. McCoy?
Yeah, we were talking about a while ago about Moore Street National Park. That's always a good thing to bring your children, grandchildren to. They really enjoy that. And they have a really good program out there, the camping, how to camp out, and like it was back in the 1780s. Yeah, because the fire's amazing. And what really enjoys that fire, the big cannons, so you know, the things go on. And also the fire the muskets and show how to fire them. It's a really good day for the family, and so I try to go every year, so.
Did you go to the pancake breakfast?
What's that?
Did you go to the pancake breakfast?
I did. The pancake breakfast was great too. That's always a good chance to meet people. A lot of people there, get a lot of chance to talk to people. And so it's every year the Blueberry Pancake Breakfast. They raise money for scholarships and the Blueberry Festival. Okay.
Thank you, sir. So I have a couple of things I would like to discuss tonight. Thank you, Mr. Manager, for bringing up the Carolina Water Service public meeting. That is Monday, February 26th at the Thompson Middle School cafeteria. Patrick Buffkin did work very hard to line this up. There's been a lot of concern requests in that area concerning this water company. So hopefully this will help answer some of those questions. The next topic is back in September, October, DOT presented a proposal to us for supporting a possible stoplight at the intersection of 17 and Slough Point Road. And it didn't pass us, but that spurred the community group in that area to form a group. It's called Stop the Fight, Support the Light. So they've gone out and they've done petition drives. They've had public meetings in their neighborhoods.
Is
They
this the one where there
contacted-
was a T intersection?
It was one that, it was a matching grant that they were wanting us to.
But at a T intersection?
It was at a, no ma'am, it wasn't, it
Four-way?
was on a northbound lane. It was at a non-turn left intersection.
That's what.
So they've done a lot of work, they've petitioned, put the petition out, got over 1,000 signatures in that area. They've contacted, Mr. Smith, Representative Smith's office, the DOT, Representative Jackson's office, and they've sent me, requests that we offer public support in their fight to get funding for that stoplight. I would love to, as a board, write a letter in support, of that group to those representatives that can make that happen. As you know, Representative Jackson last year secured funding for a stoplight on Grandview Drive that they're using as a template, that it can be done, with the proper support. So if the board would, I would love to offer that support to them, in the form of a letter, not a resolution, but a letter of support to both, Representative Smith and Senator Jackson. Representative Smith he's responded back to him that he understands the concern and he supports their initiative. So I think it would be nice if we could offer our support.
Also support their initiative, and anytime a group of citizens feels the need to get involved and go forward with the things that they need and want, I'm all for it, and I make a motion that we offer a letter of support.
Well, I'll second that, yes.
And then the last thing I've got is kind of for tonight anyway, is I don't know if anybody's had the opportunity to go down to Poplar Grove to Abbey Nature Trail, or just ride down Scottsdale Loop Road, or see the pictures that's posted on social media of the destruction of those 300 plus old trees that got destroyed. There's more trees in that field across on 117 that they farm than there is left down there around Poplar Grove. So we started back a while back with a former planner that was here. He started on a tree ordinance that we had hoped would have some meat in it that we could do. And it, like a lot of other things, it kind of just fell to the wayside and hasn't been brought back up since. So I would like to encourage that we get back on trying to figure a tree ordinance out that doesn't take two-inch trees to replace a 100-year-old oak tree. I mean, that we should know better than that. Everybody should know better than that. And
We
that's
should
what
put a moratorium on old trees.
And then there's a part of our ordinance that was adopted, Unified Development Ordinance that was adopted back on August 15th of 2022. It's a zoning text amendment to allow the insurance of clearing and grading permits. This was requested by a developer, and our planning board put it forth, and it was voted on and passed, but it allows the developer to clear cut while he's waiting on permits.
Mitigate by putting trees somewhere else.
No, this is just allowing him to cut. The mitigation part's already in the ordinance. This is allowing him to go out prior to getting permits and just clear with the hope that all the permits pass. I can't make a motion, but I would like, if we could, find a way to repeal that or stay it until we get some kind of tree ordinance or that has some teeth in it. That, I mean, if you go by these subdivisions now, if you ride down Highway 17, and I know everyone lives in different places, but you ride down 17, it looks terrible down there. You go through Scotts Hill, and they're clearing out for a subdivision there between Fred's Beds and Blake's Farm, and they don't even leave a sapling there. Everything is clear cut, and I really think there's got to be a way to at least leave some trees. We need to have some kind of ordinance. I'm not a big tree hugger. I love trees. They provide an important part to our ecosystem, And we keep talking about global warming. They absorb heat. They cool have a cooling effect.
Absorb water.
It absorbs a lot of water,
And
and so
I
it's
think
gonna.
you are a tree
You have a
hugger.
balance.
I am
It's a tree
too.
hugger, but
I think it's needed, and I
It's-
think our staff could
it
look at it. and
concerns
bring it
me
to us.
after seeing the pictures and seeing at firsthand of what's happened down at Poplar Grove with the already issues they had prior to this with flooding. I mean, you can go back at news articles from a few years back where Scottsville and Oakdale were flooded up halfway to people's houses just from a rainstorm. What that's gonna look like
Next.
next storm we have. So like I said, I can't make that motion, but I would love if someone eventually, we could get that put out where we could repeal that or stay it until we can get something that has some teeth in it to.
If we have an agenda, if we have an agenda.
And with that, I have nothing else. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Do you know what we're going in for?
For items 3, attorney-client, including Coastal Pine Solar versus Pender County, and item 6, personnel.
Make a motion that we go into closed session to discuss item 3, attorney-client, and item 6, personnel.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. We are now in closed session. excuse Commissioner Fletcher Harding.
Motion to excuse Commissioner Fletcher Harding.
Second. All those in favor, raise your hand.
Motion to carry forward, agenda item number 22.1
Yes, ma'am.
at the request of the petitioner.
To the March 11th meeting.
I think it is March 11th.
Is there a second?
Second. I made a motion.
Did you need?
And for the record, that meeting is in Burgal at 7 p.m., just for the record.
It is in Burgo.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Need a second?
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all. See y'all on the 11th.
Thank you.
So now we're moving right along to our last one of the night already.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I'd like to introduce Tucker Cherry. Tucker is new to our staff, or relatively new to our staff. He's going to be presenting the case this evening.
Welcome
Good evening,
to Pender County.
Commissioners. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
No.
Sorry, I can speak a little louder.
There you go.
Okay. Not really sure where to put this. Good evening. Oh, sorry. Can I skip this PowerPoint? Sorry. There we go. Sorry about that. Good evening, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman. This case is rezone 2023-58, Weston Lyles, applicant on behalf of Shugart's Family Properties. The owner is requesting approval of a zoning map amendment to rezone one parcel totaling 1.52 acres from the Planned Development Zoning District to GB, General Business. Here we have a vicinity map to show you where it's located. It's along US Highway 17 and Edens Lane. Surrounding this area, we have commercial businesses. We have Brad Wallace Irrigation and Landscape, Clayton Homes, Longley Supply Company, and Magnum Marine and RV Storage. These, yes, ma'am.
What are the surrounding parcels designated?
Yes, ma'am. These are general business, and this section here is PD.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Sorry, these are general business here and here. This is planned development here, and back this way is RP residential performance.
So across the side street there, that Clayton Homes, is that GB or
It's GB.
Yep.
PD?
Yes, ma'am, and we have a zoning map here.
Okay, good, thank
Yes,
you,
ma'am.
that's what I wanted.
Yes, ma'am, and on the subject property, there's currently existing commercial businesses. There's Thread FX, and behind it is like a party supply warehouse. And we'll see here, there's the zoning map. Here we have the average daily traffic from 2020. With this being a general use rezoning, we don't have site-specific traffic numbers because we're not sure what's going to be there yet. It's a general use rezoning. But we can see that as of 2020, the road, Highway 17 and Edens Lane, they have room to support more traffic. Here we have a site map that was submitted with existing conditions that shows the commercial buildings there now. And here are the land use, general use, the several different uses. We have one by right residential use, 83 by right commercial uses, and 13 uses that can be approved with a special use permit. And the chart on the right goes through the general business zoning setbacks. And here is a future land use map. This is all low density residential. Pending approval of this, that would be updated. Here are the desired uses for the low density future land use category. We have single family residence. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
see that.
sorry.
Sorry. I always look like that.
Excuse me, so single-family residential uses, duplexes and townhomes, recreation parks and open space. Inappropriate uses include non-residential development, single-family dwellings, and multifamily residential uses. And here's staff's evaluation. Rezoning this parcel to general business will create consistency with the adjacent areas. Proposal is supported by 5 policies in the future land use plan. 5.1.c, 5.1.d, 5.1.e, 5.1.h, and 5.1.k. Staff is recommending approval of this request, and if you like, I can go into more detail about any of those policies.
Do I need to go into more definition on the policies? That would be okay.
Okay.
Continue.
At the January 3rd Planning Board meeting, the board unanimously recommended approval of this rezoning. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know I kind of sped through that. It's my fault.
You're fine.
Did fine. I don't have any
So
questions.
I'm very familiar with this property. This used to be Woodside Grill. Remember Woodside Grill? Used to be a Woodside Grill and campground was there. when I was growing up. How our zoning didn't keep with what was there previously, I have no idea. But, somehow this got overlooked. Woodside Grill was there for years and Thread FX bought it 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago. So it's always been a business there. It's always been, since I can remember. Before that, it was Eden's store. And the train tracks ran through there. So it goes back a long time. Is there any, the applicant is here, is there?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, he's.
Oh, hi.
Would you hear from the applicant? You would like to? She'd like to hear from the applicant. Just-
Hi, my name is Jeremy Sugarts. I live on 150 Cornell Lane in Hampstead, North Carolina. It's my wife Tracy there. She is the actual proprietor of the business, but I work for her. And I'm actually a city councilman up in Surf City, North Carolina currently. One of the things we've obviously wanted to do is bring business and opportunity to our community and to Hampstead. And we had recently moved a business, Shoreline Party Rentals, out of Holly Ridge on Onslow County, moved it into Hampstead, into the adjacent building on the property. Everything around there is commercial use, and so we're asking for that parcel to be rezoned so we can continue to do as the other businesses are there that we're doing. So, thank you. If you could consider that, it would be greatly appreciated. We plan on doing great things and continue to add to the value of that area there. There's no doubt. With the bypass coming in, it's crazy. There's for sure.
We have faith that y'all will be doing great things.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you.
They own a couple businesses in Pender County. They own a place at the beach also, like a coffee shop.
I just want to say, we have the Daily Grind Coffee Shop in Surf City. We have the Unwind Bar. We have about 102 employees that we employ in Pender County.
Wow.
So one of the things is your planning department is amazing. I'm not going to lie to you about that. So they are
That's good to
fantastic. He beats you over the coals over things, I can tell you. So he does a great job. He's not a yes man, I can tell you that. And
I can tell you that too.
yeah, for sure. It's quite painful working with him. Anyway, no, in a good sense, he does a great job.
It is painful
It is.
sometimes. I feel your pain.
He dots his I's, crosses his T's, and we really appreciate that. So thank you for this opportunity. We plan on bringing more business and more employees into this into the community here. Thank
How
you.
much you pay him, Daddy? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sorry.
Thank you for those kind words. If there's no
Any other
comment,
questions or comments from the applicant or the staff?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the zoning map amendment and to make a finding that the approval is consistent with the following policies in the Pender County 2.0 Comprehensive Land Use Plan, 51C, 51D through K.
I'll second it.
There's a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
And for the record, there were no sign-ups, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Trey.
Thank you.
Good.
Keep up the good work.
Give me that just a second.
Creating jobs, that is.
So they drove here from Surf City, there's a major wreck in Hampstead,
You gotta go home.
back.
You might move it back the other way.
Go home through Maple Hill.
That's how I'm going home.
You gotta take deer to that.
Yeah, just watch out for the deer and bears.
And deer's are bad.
Well, for your first presentation, that wasn't bad.
Thank you, ma'am.
I've been known to make people cry. Not really.
Daniel warned me.
He did.
No, ma'am, I'm kidding.
All right, that brings,
It's training, consider it on the job training.
That's right.
OJT, that's what we're all about.
that brings us to the end. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? All those in favor, raise your right hand.
We're out of here.
We're out of here. Nice